But what's new in the world of bugs and those things that we are concerned about? Anything new? I did ask you this before we came on the air. I said I saw a story that said there are fewer bugs now than ever. It seems that some bugs are leaving us, and there is some belief and disbelief between the two of you on this one. Let's let the youngster go first.
Well, we want to just dive into controversy off the bat, right? So
didn't know it was that controversial, but I guess yes.
It is one of these. It's hard to tell what were things like in the past and what are things going to be like in the future. There has been some evidence that the total numbers of bugs on the planet are declining, and some people probably think that's fantastic news. But of course, you got to remember all the good things that insects do. So if that's true, that certainly causes some concern for some ecosystem services they provide.
Mark, I know we go through this every year, but regale me with stories of what good mosquitoes do, for example.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm right with you on that one. There's a couple of mosquitoes that I would love to smack off the face of the planet for good.
If mosquitoes were extinct,
to do that
I think that'd be a blessing.
Yeah, so now there are, if you really want to look for good things, they do some good things. Obviously, they feed a lot of animals, lots of things eat them. So there's certain aquatic beetles and fish that really eat lots of mosquito larvae. And of course, some adult mosquitoes pollinate flowers, and some of them exclusively pollinate some really rare orchids and stuff, rely on mosquito pollination. So there's a couple of weird flowers that would vanish if mosquitoes vanished. But we might be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that.
It's a finely balanced ecosystem, and truth be known, there are a number of species that if they went away, things would only get better for a lot of us, and other organisms would rise up to fill their little niche, and life would be good. But it's not all species.
So, Shep, do you think there's fewer bugs, or that we just have miscounted?
I think they've miscounted. I see as many as they are. No, it's a science thing, and you got to remember that the insects are really a reflection of the environment they occur in. So, as the environment changes, the insect populations change to reflect that.
We had concerns about bees, for example. In fact, I remember doing Rose commercials where we would talk about you would come in and help them with their backyard problems like mosquitoes and stuff. And you also said, by the way, we won't hurt the bees and the other good bugs. Do we still have a bee issue?
Oh, yeah. So it's a little, it's tough to untangle these things on air, but there's lots of different bee species, and that's one thing people don't realize. So the main concern has been over honeybees, which is really just a domesticated species. So it'd be like if you had a cat problem all of a sudden, people's cats aren't living as long. That's kind of what a honeybee problem is. But then there's all these native bees, and there's actually some evidence that some of them aren't doing so well either. And that certainly is a whole different level of concern, because now we're not talking about our pet bees, we're talking about things out in the wild.
We want to talk about what's out in the wilds around your house and in your own yard. So give us a call. Now's the time to speak to these guys with what's bugging you, really. WJR toll-free number, 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. The two Marks from Rose Pest Solutions here with us on the Paul W. Smith Show at WJR, bringing you What's Bugging You? And our friends from Rose Pest Solutions, helping out. And you can call in with very specific questions. This is the time to ask the experts, if you will. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. And as we line these callers up, we tend to talk about insects a lot, but rodents are a big issue, and mice, and I hate to say it, I don't even like to hear myself say it, but the rat issue is becoming bigger and bigger wherever we live. Matter of fact.
It's true.
And I suspect people call Rose for those kinds of problems too.
It's true. We get a lot of calls for rats.
Rats, mice. Nobody ever attacks the doggone squirrels the way I would if I were in charge.
Paul, what's shocking about mice is so many people don't even realize they have mice in their house. People think, I have a cat, I'm fine, I'm protected. But how often does the cat get in the attic? How often does the cat get it behind the refrigerator and into the wall voids where the mice can get? So mice are pretty safe in our houses.
That's terrible. I mean, Mark, you put it that way. The mice are everywhere. They can survive. They can squeeze through the littlest of holes. I've seen the whole demonstration. It's just astonishing. So how do you know you have a mouse problem or a mice problem? What signs would you see?
Well, the most obvious sign are no way around it. Mouse droppings.
Droppings.
Yeah. Little chocolate sprinkles round the baseboards, and wherever the mice go, they leave that, and that'll show you where the activity goes. You may see mice, you may see dead mice, you may see damage where they've chewed into things.
And what do we do? Do the old mouse traps work, or do you do something else?
Oh, we use a lot of the old mouse traps. It's you build a better mouse trap, and the world will beat a path to your door, or so they say. But we're still using the old mouse traps. They work well, but you got to put them in the right place. So the most effective thing you can use is a solid knowledge of mouse behavior and what they're going to do.
And look for entry points. So it's great to trap them out, and that's the first step. But hopefully the second step, and this is where a professional is often, their eyes are very helpful in finding how the heck did the mice get in the first place. Because even though they can squeeze through small gaps, they do still need an opening. So things that look solid to us are in fact porous to mice. So finding those and sealing up those holes is huge too.
All right, let's see what our WJR listeners, what problems they're facing and could use some help with. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. First up is Michael in Grand Blanc, and Michael has an issue, I think, with ants. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, this has been plaguing me for quite some time now. I live in an apartment complex, at least for the next 4 months. And for the past 4 years, I have these Fero ants. They're little micro brown ants, and the complex has had exterminators in there nonstop. I can't get rid of these darn things, and primarily in the bathroom, a few in the kitchen, but it's terrible, and I don't know what to do, you guys.
So, yeah, I like how you preface this by saying what's plaguing you. Anytime someone uses that particular modifier, we know it's something big is going down. Fero ants are one of those issues where it's not just your problem. So I don't know how it's been explained to you, but this is not just going on in your apartment. This is a building-wide problem. And so this is a really tough species of ant to beat just because of the fact that it's itty-bitty tiny, so it's tough to inspect for them and find where the trails are. And they'll get throughout the entire structure. So you can't just go in one apartment, knock out the colony, and be done with it. They're going to have, in some cases, hundreds of queens. And so to actually knock out the entire situation is really difficult.
You have to do the whole building successfully.
To do the whole building. And usually over a period of many, many months to actually eradicate a well-established Fero ant colony. Fun fact, I was just on spring break flying back in from Tampa. I found Fero ants in the Tampa airport.
Really?
Wonder how long they've had them for.
Did you tell anybody?
No, but I did collect some to take home.
VW has outed the Tampa airport. They'll be calling soon.
Oh my!
Unfortunately, we don't reach down there.
You took some home. You carry a specimen jar with you at all times?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
What am I thinking?
You never know when you're going to need it. Yeah. But I actually needed some good specimens for the training class I do of Fero ants. And I said, hey, you never know when you're going to find some.
All right, so what do we tell Michael? It's hopeless?
If you're moving out in 4 months, I'd say grin and bear it. It's probably not going to get resolved before the 4 months is up.
How does he make sure he doesn't take them with him?
That's a good question. They tend not to nest in belongings so much, although that's not unheard of. Probably the best, if you're going to accidentally bring them, it would be in an appliance. So hopefully it was a furnished apartment and you're not taking the refrigerator and microwave and that kind of stuff with you. If you are, that would be probably the biggest area of concern of where you might bring some with you.
And if you've got rooms where you see them a lot or a lot of them, don't just pick up a box out of there and take it. Go through it and check it. If there's a nest in there, a colony in there, you will recognize it as you take it out.
Good luck, Michael.
Sorry, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. That'd be kind of a tough 4 months now, 4 long months. Let's get to the callers because they've been waiting there. I have a couple of other questions about clearing out the garage right now, and if there's been mice, that's dangerous with the dust that comes up. Spring, if it's wet, people wonder if it'll be a bad year for mosquitoes. You guys say it's not that simple. And tick-borne diseases, which we should touch on too. But first, your questions and comments. And since you've been waiting the longest, Chuck in Troy, welcome to WJR and our friends at Rose Pest Solutions.
Well, hi, Mark and Shep. My question is, in past years, I've applied a home perimeter around my house. I use the same product, the base of my trees. And when I would entertain folks in the summer, I would put down a mosquito spray, which has worked very well in the past. But however, that has all changed because now I have a new dog, and he really likes to lick his paws. I know I've heard that once the product dries, it's safe, but I'm just really concerned if there's a hazard to my dog of that transferring to him.
I don't think you have too much to worry about as far as pets go. If these the products that offer any hazard at all in that vein would tell you about it on the label. You got to read the label, and there's an awful lot of reading, and the print's awfully small, but it tells you basically what the serious hazards are with that. Now, as far as treatment like that, if it's working for you, that should do well. Keep in mind that the dog doesn't go everywhere, so if you're treating the spots where the dog isn't, or if the dog's hanging out at the bases of your trees or at the edge of the house, there's things you can do to keep the dog away from that and reduce its exposure that way.
Good luck to you, Chuck, in Troy, and let's go to Keith in Shelby Township on WJR. Hello, Keith.
Hey, good morning. I had caught a flying ant the other night. I think it was Wednesday. It was on my TV screen. I think it was a flying ant. When I looked at it, it looked like a real miniature, like wasp. But I'm guessing it was a flying ant. How do I treat that?
Well, first of all, what program were you watching?
I think I was watching the NCAA tournament, to be honest.
All right, that's right.
Ants love that.
That drew people like flies, yeah.
So, obviously, knowing what it is important. There's a couple of things that it could be from your description. So it could be an actual wasp, and sometimes there are wasps that hatch out and they get inside homes. Usually it's not the kind of wasp that's going to sting you, a little parasitoid. It could be a flying ant. That's probably a pretty good guess. It could also be a termite, although it's still a tad. I don't know. We're getting to be into termite swarming season. But if you only saw one of them, a wasp or an ant's probably your best bet. And if you just saw one, probably nothing to worry about. It's when you see lots of things that's an indication that there's a problem inside the structure.
So is there anything? Go ahead,
that
Keith.
leads to my next one. Last year, I did see a fair amount of these about this same time, and I put out those liquid traps, and I don't know, 2-3 weeks of it, and then they all went away. But I just,
so
concerned.
I think the best course of action would be to get this thing identified, especially if you see a bunch of them. You really got to know what it is for us to give you any kind of advice. Could be a big problem, could be nothing.
Have these cell phones helped your business? Because people can take a picture of these things now and send them to you.
No doubt about it. In fact, we get a lot of pictures, cell phone pictures. But I'll tell you something: there are cell phone pictures and there are cell phone pictures. You get a picture of a white background with a blurry black spot in the middle, and they go, "What is this?" And you have no idea. It needs to be sharp and clear. Yeah. One of the things to remember: if you're going to take a cell phone picture, lots of light is good. Set the phone down. Set it set it on a cup so it's stationary, so it's not
level
moving.
With the yeah. That makes sense. It's got to be a good picture. Thanks very much for that call, Keith. All right, folks, let me get to your phone calls very quickly. Some of you have been waiting a long time. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. Leslie is in Bloomfield Hills. What's bugging you, Leslie?
Well, it's a bug, I think, and I was diagnosed by 5 experts. Okay, so first of all, they're little black mites, I do believe, and they're found in the corner of my eyes. They seem to have created a sty on one of my eyelids, and that's gone now with the help of an antibiotic. But my family doctor was the only one that knew that they ate your eyelash.
Oh, come on! What in the world,
and
Leslie?
So I have hardly any eyelash.
Oh. Okay,
and
I'm not sure that this is the right. These are the right experts to add to your five former experts.
I think they're around, but they're very hard to diagnose because my dermatologist, an entomologist, and an ophthalmologist all could not identify the same thing. So I went on the internet and I found them exactly how they look when I take them out of the corner of my eyes.
All right. Let's just get to these black mites. Yeah. Have you heard of them attacking humans?
Actually, there are tiny little creatures that live all over us, and probably not anything anybody really likes to discuss too much because they just live there naturally. Now, as far as
on our bodies?
Oh yeah,
they're called follicle mites, and they have sex on your face every night.
Well, somebody should. But anyway, I mean, what am I?
Nice.
Thank God they are. How did this happen? Ann, how did you give us this call in the first place? Leslie, well, it is interesting, I guess, in a kind of a sick way. But all right.
To help everybody out, any mites that would live on your person, you would never even know they're there. And once they get off you, they're really out. They're out in the open. There's nothing you can do about them. We don't deal with such things. It would be a medical issue.
Yeah, it really, Leslie, as you say, you've talked to 5 experts already. I think that stick with those medical experts, and best of luck to you, Leslie, for goodness sakes. Yikes. Chris is in, that's a first in all the years we've done this. Chris is in Dearborn and on the Paul W. Smith Show with the folks from Rose Pest Solutions. Chris.
I am helping a hoarder lady clean out her house.
Oh, my.
This house has not been occupied for at least 20 years. I find evidence of mice. Now, this stuff is old. It seems to all be dried, but tell me, how dangerous is this?
Well, this goes, and clean that up with, or add that to cleaning out your garage if there have been mice. The dust of cleaning up droppings and old nests can be hazardous. A quick answer on this.
Absolutely correct. There are an awful lot of rodent-borne diseases that you can get from old rodent droppings and those kinds of things. Whenever you're in such a situation, you need to take a lot of precautions, both respiratory and cover your skin.
Thanks to our Rose Pest Solutions experts, Mr. Mark D. Sheperdigian, BCE, Vice President of Technical Services. We know him as Shep. Mr. Mark VanderWerp, Manager of Education and Training. We know him as Mark. And they'll stick around for a couple of minutes here to take your calls. I know we've got somebody on concerned about stink bugs. And so any other questions you have at 800-8590-957, 800-8590-WJR. They'll stick around for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, guys, thanks for coming in and helping.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Very much. I hope you'll come back again.
Absolutely. I love coming to the freeze box here. It just
Okay.
makes me so happy to get back outside into the warm weather.
You've got a coat on. Barb Craig is here. She's not complaining. She's got a thinner jacket on than you do. Well, you do have a sweater, too, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
She's made a better stock than I am.
All right, guys. Thank you for your help. Thanks for helping our listeners.